Yeah, we're just getting together to look at old photographs and, you know, talk about the memories of Leigh Park and all the people that we used to know. And this man here, you know, he wait, do you want to explain what you do?
I'm Bob Hind. I write the Remember When column for the Portsmouth News and written a book about Leigh Park during the war called The Naval Camps in Bedhampton, Hampton, Leigh Park. Not many people know that about all the naval camps that used to be in the area. And I'm up here now just, I've been up here for the last 6 weeks just giving advice and supplying photographs and maps and interviewing people about different pieces and finding out stuff which I didn't even know about. And I've lived here since 1950. So
tell me about some of the things that you have learned then.
Well, the dates, but also some of the photographs which I've seen, which I've never seen before, are very enlightening. You know, just different roads and streets and where people lived. And yeah, it's been very good. Yeah, well impressed.
Yeah. Well, I used to live in the camp. This is the book that Bob wrote. Okay.
Oh, that's it.
There's the book. That's the book. And yeah, and there's photos of me in there with my family because that's where we lived just before the coronation, about 1952. And then we went to school in Leigh Park. And there's a couple of pupils, I've got school photographs here, that have become quite famous, like a friend of mine, Caroline. Yeah, it's more what I can tell people because I've lived in Leigh Park all my life. And as I said, we've got a couple of famous people from my original class. Now that is the original, I don't know if you can see that very well, photograph of when we were at Oak Park School, right, and that was like about 1958, and the young girl sitting at the end there is Caroline, who grew up to be a Tiller girl, and then she runs a home for the mentally handicapped now, and she campaigns for Tibet, you know, because she meets once a year with the Lord Mayor, and sometimes you get the government people coming over from Tibet, and they're all campaigning for the freedom of the people. So she became quite famous, really, you know. And then she was on the palladium, I said that, didn't I? And then there's another one here, Nora. Her son grew up. Her son was the original Milky Bar Kid. Right, so that's something else. And then her brother was one of the Tears for Fears group, you know, pop group. In the 70s, was it, Bob?
Late 70s, early 80s.
Late 70s, yeah. So I've got lots and lots of memories. The camp, as I've just said, the school, we did a school reunion. What else? This is a school play that we did in 1958 when we went to Stockheath School. That was taken at Cale Plain because it was a festival of school plays, and we actually won the festival because we did Sorcerer's Apprentice. And the chap who's the skeleton in that one, he joined Pompey. He was in the Pompey's Young People's Group, you know, I've forgotten what it's called.
Under 16s were reserves or something like that.
Under 16s.
Youth side.
Youth group.
Yeah. In the youth side, yeah.
Youth team, yeah. Okay, I'm not explaining it very well. And then, like Donald, now this little man here, he went to Stockheath School after I left. So he was in Stockheath School in the 60s, as Bob was here. This is a picture of all the teachers that he gave me from about 1961, 62 at Stockheath School. And this is a class of Stockheath School in the early 60s. Yeah, so, you know, there's quite a few interesting, I'm sure there's other things I could tell you as well. That's my friend Caroline again, the one that was a Tiller girl, and there she is at one of the rallies, you know, that they do once a year for Tibet. What else have we got, Bob?
Park Parade.
Old photographs of Park Parade. I used to work in Perks in Park Parade, the grocery shop, Me and my friend, when we left school, we went to Twilfits first, and I've got photographs of Twilfits, which, you know, nearly everybody that was in our class seemed to go to Twilfits, you know, at Farlington, sewing corsets. And then after that, we got fed up with that. We sort of went down to this little job centre in Havant, and all it was in them days is you go in this little office and they've got all these cards in boxes with all the available jobs on, you know, so they just ask you what sort of thing you'd like to do, and we said, well, we wouldn't mind trying a shop. So they went through the cards and picked out 2 shops, one for me and one for my friend, Pinks and Perks, and I went to Perks. And then in Perks, it was a lovely little grocery shop. So it was lovely in Park Parade in them days. They had loads of different nice little, you know, it was absolutely packed with people walking through, wasn't it? And because there was like a vegetable shop, you know, every sort of thing you can think of. There was
5 butcher shops.
A what?
5 butcher shops.
Oh yeah, 5 butcher shops, grocery shops. And the Perks that I worked in was one of the first ones where you could go around and take your basket around, self-service, yeah. And there was a chap there that used to play a guitar, and he looked the double of James Dean, and that's before James Dean died, when he was really popular. And he used to sit out there outside at tea break, strumming the guitar, and he was absolutely gorgeous. And I've often wondered what's happened to him.
I'm here.
And I was sitting there sorting out the bad eggs, because that's what we did as well. All the eggs were sent in, and of course nowadays I suppose they're all sorted before they're sent in. But in those days you sat at the back and sorted them out, and it was a terrible smell. And he was playing his guitar, and I wanted to look my best. I probably
smelling of eggs.
Yeah, smelling of horrible eggs.
So, obviously, as a whole, why do you think that projects like this are good for the community and good for young people and just good for the area?
Well, it's nostalgia and it's history, isn't it? You know, people look back, and everybody likes to sort of know the history of a place and what it used to be like, and see how times have changed. And it's many reasons.
And you showed me like some really, really interesting stuff. What kind of memories has it brought back for you? Has it kind of reminded you of anything that you've kind of forgotten about? Or
only when I was a nipper, basically. You know, Stockheath. There were some photographs here of Stockheath Common. There was a farm on the corner, which I can just remember. And Hooks Lane, I can remember Hooks Lane when there was a farm down there. And there's just things you say, oh, I remember that. And that's the good thing about looking at old photographs. It's not so much the people, it's scenes, street scenes in that. And you remember Park Parade, as Moureen said. You know, I mean, when I left school before I joined the Navy, I worked in Maypoles, which was right next door to her.
Yeah.
Maureen.
That was interesting.
And it's just another one of these little stores, you know, but just busy all day long. Yeah, really absolutely superb.
Yeah.
It's all changed now completely, unfortunately.
It does nudge your memory.
The thing is, it hasn't changed all that much in the last 20 years, but in the last 50 years, like Maureen and I know, it has changed completely.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing, because you might get people in 2024 who remember it as it was 20 years ago, and exactly the same.
Yeah,
but not when you go back like we do.
No, when we lived in the camp, we used to walk across as they were building the houses in Leigh Park, and you know there was a great big field where the big black pipes are, and they're still there now. And you know there was lots of stiles, you know, that you had to cross to go over to different places, and there was all cowpats, and I remember getting stuck in a cowpat.
That's why she's so tall.
Road piece.
And also, this is interesting, I went to a friend's house who she lived in one of the original, you know, the first houses to be built in Botley Drive. And they didn't have fridges in them days, they just had larders with the, you know, the slab, the cold slab to put stuff in. And I don't know what sort of time of year it was, but we went into her mum's kitchen and she opened the cupboard to see what there was to eat, and there was a joint of beef and it was absolutely swarming with maggots, and they were dropping all over the floor, and I always remember that because in them days you couldn't keep things, you know.
That's why places like Park Parade and Botley Drive shops, people shop for the day. They don't go like nowadays, you go up Asda and you buy a week's shop. I know some people buy a Mum's shop because they've got these big box freezers. In those days, you had to go up, buy, eat it that day, and the next day you went back to the shop again.
To go eat again.
That's why you had all the little shops, like the butcher's shops. There was one in Botley Drive, there was Stone Square, or as I say, 5 in Park Parade, and Middle Park Way. They were all over the place, all these little shops, because you had to buy for the moment. And you couldn't buy and keep it, there was no such thing as freezers.
And also the camp stores, that's the camp stores.
Oh, that's the camp stores that used to be
camp stores, it used to be, it was the only shop there
camp.
was, in Bedhampton Camp. And the boy outside, he's the one that, he was a detective.
He became a detective, lives at Cow Lane.
Yeah. And and that was our little shop. There was something I was going to say about that and I've forgotten now. Oh yeah, and then Mr. Piper, George Piper, who ran that shop, he moved into Barncroft shops, you know, because
Piper Burnett.
Yeah, that's right. Piper bought Burnett, that was his partner, but then his partner died, didn't he? And he just went on to be...
he became independent.
Yeah, he became independent, and then he took over a shop in... he opened up a shop in Barncroft Way. No,
it was actually built for the bombed out people of Portsmouth.
Yeah.
It was going to be like a big concentration camp, believe it or not, and but it was never used for that. And in the end, it was used by soldiers waiting to go to D-Day. But north of that, in the other part of the camp, which became HMS Daedalus 3, and the school, Stockheath School, was the officers' quarters. And wardroom and that, all to do with HMS Daedalus 3. But then they called it Stockheath School when everything was built up into houses. And that caused great confusion when I was looking for Stockheath Camp, because everyone told me that was Stockheath Camp. But it wasn't, where Redbridge Grove is now in Hazelwold. That was HMS Daedalus 3.
Yeah.
But that became...
we just had one little stove in the middle of
one stove,
living room. That was our only heating.